You may be seated. Seniors, if you listen to the radio for more than about 12 minutes on just about any station, you're going to hear a song by Fun, right? Debut album, We Are Young. That was a good one, except for the Empire Higher Than the Empire State Building line. Their most current one, Carry On. God, I love the lyrics of that one, and it gets you going, doesn't it? I really like, sandwiched in the middle, Some Nights. I like Fun. I like the concept of Fun, but I like the music group Fun. Because they're passionate. If you haven't watched their videos, their YouTubes, the passion of the lead singer, he is into his music. And I think he's asking the right question. I know you guys all know the lyrics. Those guys might not. Some nights I stay up cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a draw. Some nights I wish my lips could build a castle. Some nights I wish they'd just fall off. But I still wake up. I still see your ghost. Oh, Lord, I'm just not sure what I stand for. Oh, what do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know. This is it, boys. This is war. What are we waiting for? Why don't we break the rules already? I was never one to believe the hype. Save that for the black and white. I try twice as hard, and I'm half as liked. But here they come again to jack my style. That's all right. I found a martyr in my bed tonight. She stops my bones from wondering just who I am. Who I am. Who I am. Who am I? Well, some nights I wish that this would all end, because I could use some fresh friends for a change. And some nights I'm scared you'll forget me again. Some nights I always win, but I still wake up. I still see your ghost. Oh, Lord, I'm not sure what I stand for. Whoa, what do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know. Seniors, I think I'll stop with the lyrics right there, because if you know that song, you guys do know that song. You know that later in the song he drops the F word because he's trying to be really passionate, and he thinks that's the most passionate word in the English language, and it's probably not appropriate to use the F word at a baccalaureate service in a church. But I love Fun, because Fun is asking the right question. I think it's the question that you've got to ask as you guys get ready to graduate from high school and go out there into the adult world. You've got to ask that question, what do I stand for? What do I stand for? I hope you don't conclude like Fun, most nights I don't know. I hope you've asked that question. I think life is part of asking that question, and I hope you get to the point as you commence that you have a pretty good idea of what the answer is. Now, there are a lot of answers to the question, what do I stand for? And I'm not going to tell you it's an easy question, and I'm not going to tell you that I can sum it up in one quick little line. There are probably a lot of right answers to the question, what do I stand for as I graduate from high school and join the adult world? Let me just give you one. And it's a two-parter. I couldn't quite make it a neat one. Here's what I think you should stand for. Continue to allow your world to change you. And then go out and change your world. Continue to allow your world to change you. And then go out and change your world. You'll notice that I did use the personal pronoun, the second person pronoun, your world. I didn't use the definite article adjective to modify world, the. I didn't say continue to allow the world to change you and then go out and change the world. I, on purpose, deliberately, intentionally, used the second person pronoun. Continue to allow your world to change you. And then go out there and change your world. There are a lot of agents of change in your world. Of course, your parents. They have been working on changing you. They have been shaping you and changing you. For the last 18 years, they've been working on that. Your family, your siblings, your grandparents, your neighbors, your employers, your teachers, your mentors, your coaches, all of those are agents of change in your life, and they've been working on modifying your behavior to make you a better version of who you are. Those people have been changing your world. And then there are the people changes to your world, the influences. There's music and movies and modern culture and everything you read, from a tweet to a text to a literary text. All of those change your world. And then there are the circumstances that have changed your world. Some of them, sadly, have been catastrophic and tragic and heartbreaking, and others of them have been triumphant and noteworthy and record-breaking. But all of those things, the people, the influences, and the circumstances of your world have changed your world. Alfred Lord Tennyson was right when he wrote, "I am a part of all that I have met." The world of your family, the world of your friends, the world of your school, the world of your community, the world of your music, the world of etc. is a part of everything that has changed your world and made you into the young men and women that you are. Now, it's funny, because the nature of being changed in your world is not a nature of big things. Big things tend not to be the changers. Your world has been changed through a myriad of little things, mundane things. A word from a parent, an encouragement from a teacher, an adjustment by a coach. And over time, it changes you. Your mom says to you when you're a young teenager, "Man, you are so good at working with little kids. Look how you handle the little kids around you. Look at you as seniors, how you influence the freshmen. Man, you guys, you have talent working with younger children." And now you're heading off to college, some of you, to become teachers, because that one comment from a mom made you see your world a little differently. You've probably heard a comment from a teacher where a teacher says, "Dude, your brain is made for math. I mean, it just thinks mathematically. You think so logically, and I mean, everybody else is struggling, and you get it. And now you're heading off to college to be an engineer because your brain is wired for math." Those little comments, those little adjustments by a coach, those are the agents that have been changing your world. Your world has been changed by the people and the influences and the circumstances that God has allowed to be part of your world. Somebody said, bullseye, "It is not uncommon for God to spend 15 years getting you ready for 15 minutes. So continue to allow your world to change you. And then go out and change your world." I gotta believe, as seniors just days away from graduation, that you're getting a question asked of you so many times, you're probably getting a little sick of it. It's the question, so, what are you gonna do with your life? Are you going to college? Where are you going to college? What are you gonna major in? What are you gonna be when you grow up? There's a lot of pressure in that question. Let me think of it this way. If you go the college route, great idea. Education's important. You have figured out that it's going to cost about $100,000 over the next 4 years. No pressure. Oh, yeah, well, college might not be for you. Career, you're going to go straight into the workforce. Great. We need people to go straight into the workforce. Tough job market right now. A lot of unemployed people, a lot of very qualified people reaching down in the job market to jobs they're overqualified for. So good luck getting that job. And, oh, by the way, the job you get at 18, you comfortable keeping that job for the next 40 or 45 years until you've racked up enough money in your retirement account that you can retire? I mean, no pressure in making that decision, 18-year-olds. Oh, you want to go military? Guaranteed job. Good idea. I have 3 words for you. Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. No pressure. We as adults have a bad habit of asking you 18-year-olds these questions as if at 18 you really have it all figured out. So, do you mind if I take a little bit of pressure off of you? You can't change the world. You can't. But nobody's asking you to change the world. We're simply asking you to change your world. So change the world of your family by being the best version of son or daughter, brother or sister that you can be. Change the world of your friends by being the living demonstration of what a good definition of friendship would be. Change your world as a college student or a worker or a soldier by realizing that everything and everyone that has poured into you to change your world will now impact how aggressively you can change the world of college, the world of the workforce, and the world of the military. So go out there. Don't try to change the world. Just go out and change your world. If you think about it, back through human history, there have been a lot of people that lived by this two-part theory, that they came to terms with the fact that their world had been changed by the people, by the circumstances, by influences, and they then turned around and used who they had become to turn around and change their world. Not the whole world, just their world. David. Old Testament David, David and Goliath David. Long before he's David and Goliath David, he's just Shepherd David. And Shepherd David, one day, he's just out with his sheep. He's doing his job. He's just going to work every day, doing his job, caring for lambs. And a lion decides he wants to make a lamb chop out of one of the lambs. And so David says, no, not on my watch. I clocked in. It's my job to guard these sheep, and you are changing my world, lion. And he took the lion on. Another day, a bear did the same thing. We have the wording of David telling his story. Do you mind if I read 1 Samuel 17? Here's how David tells his story. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it. I struck it. I rescued the sheep from its mouth. Then it turned on me, and I seized it by the hair. I struck it and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine, this Goliath here, will be like one of those, because he's defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. David's world had been changed when a lion showed up. David's world had been changed when a bear showed up. So now that it's not a bear or a lion, it's a Goliath. Frankly, Goliath. He may be one of the greatest human demonstrations of the polar opposite of political correctness that humanity has ever seen. Because day after day after day, he comes out and he stands before the nation of Israel, the army of the nation of Israel, and he mocks their God, and he mocks their belief in God. And he goes, yeah, if your God's so big, why don't you come out here and deal with me? I'm 9 feet tall. I'm a champion. And David, who happened just to be on a delivery run taking food supplies to his brothers, a young shepherd who had had his world changed by a lion and a bear, showed up, and on that moment, because God had prepared him for years for this moment, David says, not on my watch. And he goes down and he picks up 5 rocks and he takes his slingshot, and because he had been prepared defending sheep, he nailed that giant right between the eyes, and he took him out, and he changed his world. We didn't read the whole chapter. That's a pretty familiar story. You probably know it. The next part of the story, David doesn't then sling the next stone and take out the next Philistine and the next one and the next one and the next one. He doesn't take on the whole army. He just changed his world by killing one. Here's another example, maybe one you've studied. Alfred Lord Tennyson, great English poet. Tennyson's world was changed pretty aggressively when his best friend and college mate, Arthur Hallam, who was engaged to Tennyson's little sister, when Hallam dropped dead from a brain hemorrhage, unexpected, out of the blue, 22 years old, he dropped dead. It changed Tennyson's world. So much so that he took about 10 years to write a really famous, very long poem called In Memoriam to Arthur Henry Hallam. And in that poem, even though you probably you weren't required to memorize it, you know this line. It's a Tennyson line. He says, "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." And he's writing about his friend. Tennyson's world was rocked by the death of his best friend. His world was changed by that. And yet Tennyson somehow, with the change of tragedy, he reaches inside of himself and he finds a champion spirit. And in his poetry, we trace how he changes the world. His most famous poem, maybe most famous poem, is a poem called Ulysses. I think you probably studied it. It's a normal text in the Western anthology. And Ulysses tells the story of King Ulysses, who is called to go off and fight the Trojan War. And so right before he leaves, he calls his son Telemachus in. And he says, Telemachus, look, I've got to go fight the war. I don't know how long I'm going to be gone. I need you as crown prince to serve as king in my absence. But I'm still king. Just want to let you know that. But you serve as king. Now, Ulysses is gone for 20 years. And Telemachus does a marvelous job, and he subdues the people with kindness, and he creates a loyalty among the citizenry that after 20 years of the king's absence, everybody looks to Telemachus as king. And then Ulysses walks back on the scene after 20 years with the Trojan War over, and when he comes back, the king is faced with this dilemma. His world has been changed by being away. And now he has the dilemma. Does he take the throne from Telemachus and rule it as rightful king? Or does he honor his son with the crown? And the poem Ulysses tells the story of how the king makes a decision. And he says, you have done a great job. You deserve to be king. I give you the throne. And then the king has another choice. What's he do now? What's a retired king do? Well, he could go into king retirement. Not Ulysses. No. Ulysses gathers his soldiers and he says, men, we may be old, but we're not done. We need to go find a new kingdom. We need to conquer a new people group. I will serve as king somewhere. And at the end of the poem, these challenging lines come from Tennyson. He says this, though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in younger days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. King Ulysses got it because Tennyson, the author, got it. He learned to be changed by his world and then turn around and change his world. Graduating class of 2013. God is at work in your lives and has been for the last 18 years. God has sent the precise agents of change into your life. He has put you into the family that he wanted you to be in. He has given you the mom and dad, the brothers and sisters, the aunts and uncles, the grandparents that he knew you were going to need. He's allowed you to experience both crisis and conquering. And he's surrounded you by the exact right teachers and mentors and coaches because he's preparing you for your 15 minutes. And so I say to you, here's something we're standing for as you graduate from high school. Continue to allow your world to change you. And then turn around and change your world. If you would, I'd like to pray a prayer of blessing on the graduating class of 2013. Will you pray with me? Lord God, any night we watch the news, we get tough news. We have a world in crisis. We have an economy in crisis. We have a culture in crisis. And we could get terribly discouraged by what's on the news and what's coming down the line for our country and our world. But because we have in front of us the class of 2013, and because we know that you have prepared them, that you have sent agents of change into their lives, their parents, their families, their teachers, their coaches, their community, God, we know that you are in the business of preparing them to jump into this adult world and change their world. And so I pray that you would bless them, that you would continue to bless them with talent and training and opportunity. But Lord, instill in them a desire to find out exactly what you want for them to change in their world. And then give them great success as they bring about that change. We pray, God, in your name. Amen.